Hi friends, my name is Francis Mervin Fernandez. I am a chartered accountant by profession, qualified from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. In this short video, we are going to discuss about a term that is most commonly referred to in international trade, and it is none other than letter of credit. Letter of credit is a very vast topic which cannot be covered in a single video. So here we are just going to discuss about the basics of letter of credit, like what is a letter of credit and how it functions. Now, what is a letter of credit? Letter of credit, shortly referred to as LC, is a letter provided by one bank to another bank guaranteeing the payment of a trade transaction provided the seller submits all the required documents. I am sure from this definition you will not understand what is an LC and how it functions. So I would like to break down this topic into 4 segments. 1. Who are the participants of an LC? 2. How an LC comes into place? 3. How the LC operates? And 4. The relation between shipment and the payment. We have mentioned that letter of credit is a term that is used in international trade. So for every trade transaction, there should be a buyer and a seller who are the 2 main participants of a letter of credit. Further, LC is a letter issued by one bank to another bank. So there are 2 banks also involved. One is the buyer's bank, which is called the applicant bank, and the seller's bank, which is called the beneficiary bank. These are the 4 basic participants of a letter of credit. There can be in practical scenarios more number of participants, like first advising bank, second advising bank, confirming bank, reimbursing bank. All these can be participants of an LC, but the basic 4 participants are buyer, seller, buyer's bank and the seller's bank. So now how does an LC come into place? For example, a buyer, he wants to purchase certain laptops. He searches the international market, he finds out a prospective seller in the market, he contacts the seller, they start discussions with each other regarding the technical specifications of the laptops, where the laptops has to be delivered, the quantity of laptops that are required, how it has to be packed, what is the mode of shipment, the terms of shipment, the terms of payment, so on and so forth. Finally, after a lot of discussions and negotiations, they come into a conclusion that they will proceed with the order. Now the buyer, he doesn't want to make a full payment for this order because he doesn't want to distort the cash flows of his concern, and he doesn't want to take the risk of paying upfront and not getting the shipment. Similarly, the seller, he doesn't want to lose a prospective buyer, and he doesn't want to ship the goods and be at the risk of not receiving the payment. So both of them come to a mutual agreement that this trade transaction will be supported by a letter of credit. So the buyer, he goes to his bank, which is the applicant bank. He applies for an LC based on the terms that the buyer and seller has agreed upon, and the LC is initiated from there. Now once the LC has been initiated from the applicant bank, this LC is transmitted to the beneficiary bank via a SWIFT message, and the beneficiary bank in turn intimates the seller regarding the LC. Now since the LC has been established, the seller starts shipping the goods as per the order, and he prepares all the original documents for the shipment as well. The documents may include the invoice, packing list, certificate of origin, transport documents like airway bill if it is an air shipment, or the bill of lading if it's a sea shipment. There can be other documents like vessel certificates, insurance certificates, beneficiary certificates, like that, depending on the LC requirements. Now the seller submits all these original documents that he has prepared to his bank, which is the beneficiary bank, and this bank in turn dispatches all these documents to the applicant bank. And once the applicant bank receives these documents, it intimates the applicant that the document has arrived. Now one main thing in an LC shipment is that the goods pertaining to this LC will be consigned to the applicant bank. That is one main thing that has to be noted in an LC shipment. So in the BL or in the airway bill, it will be mentioned that the goods are consigned to the order of the applicant bank. Now the shipment has arrived at the port as per the terms that is agreed upon in the order, and the documents also has reached the applicant bank. Now the applicant bank checks all these original documents. They go through whether everything is in terms as mentioned in the LC, and if there are any discrepancies, that would be intimated to the applicant via a document arrival advice stating the discrepancies. Now the applicant goes through the discrepancies and they need to accept these discrepancies in order to collect the original documents. Now this acceptance has to be done either by signing on the document arrival advice and providing it back to the applicant bank, or in present days it can be done through the online bank portal. So once this acceptance is given by the applicant to the applicant bank, a swift message is sent from the applicant bank to the beneficiary bank stating that the documents have been accepted, and in turn the beneficiary bank intimates the beneficiary regarding the acceptance. And in the acceptance advice, it will be mentioned that these documents are accepted to mature on a particular date depending on the terms. It can be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days from the date of the invoice, packing list, or the transport documents. Once the applicant bank gets this acceptance from the applicant, they endorse behind the transport documents by putting their seal mentioning deliver the goods to the order of the applicant. Once this endorsement is done by the bank, the applicant collects all these original documents. He goes to the customs authorities, present all these documents, get the delivery order in favor of him, goes to the port, and he clears the shipment. Now the shipment has been collected by the applicant and he is happy. Meanwhile, on the maturity date of this letter of credit, the payment is transmitted from the applicant bank to the beneficiary bank, and the beneficiary bank in turn intimates the beneficiary regarding the same, and ultimately the fund is credited to the beneficiary's bank account. So this is how the whole process of an LC works. In practical scenarios, we can see a lot of cases where the original documents of the shipment are directly sent by the beneficiary to the applicant without routing it through the bank. This is done based on the mutual agreement between the buyer and the seller. So what happens here is that in the transport documents, the shipment will be consigned directly to the applicant instead of consigning it to the bank. And what they do is that the beneficiary just submits a copy of these documents to his bank, and those will be dispatched to the applicant bank. So in this case, since the original documents has been received by the applicant directly, he goes to the customs authorities, get the delivery order, and he clears the shipment. Here there is no requirement for him to wait for the copy of the documents that come in the bank. Here there is a big risk that the applicant may clear the shipment with the original documents and he may not accept the documents that has come in the bank, because in the bank it's only a copy that has come. The beauty of an LC lies in consigning the shipment to the order of the applicant bank and sending all the original documents through the bank itself, so that it becomes a compulsion on the part of the applicant to sign the document arrival advice in order to collect the original documents and clear the shipment. This is the most beautiful part in an LC. Hope you have got a basic idea of what is an LC, how it functions, and how the payment is secure in a trade transaction if it is covered under a letter of credit. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.